Welcome to another episode of the Far These Times. We have a pretty special episode today, I would say. We interviewed Maram Humaid, who's a journalist from Gaza and based in Gaza. How would you describe this episode, Scott?
The thing that's I've been sitting with since we stopped recording and ended the call is like this is the humanity back in like what we've been witnessing. Um,
Mm-hmm.
there's a different telling of the story that's happening here. It's the day-to-day lived experience. It's the survival. It's the facing death nonstop and still trying to cultivate life in the face of constant death. Something that I like was that kept on coming up for me without like during the episode was like this is where the aura of resiliency and how strong Palestinians are comes into play. But also, it's very clear that it's collective devastation and suffering. Resiliency at this point feels like an insult to me. And it's a way of separating and distancing and idolizing and like putting it on a pedestal and making it okay for the rest of us to be okay with what's happening.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I agree. The details of her everyday of the past few months, the past couple of years almost, that's what really got to me the most. Let's say stuck out because the headlines are what they are. At
yeah.
this point, most people who are informed are as informed as they can be. What I think Mariam offered was
Mm-hmm.
just telling us almost like the difficulty of the mundane, like how do you even do the mundane stuff? Like how do you maintain an education for your kid? How do you get basic food, stuff like that. She clearly had a lot to say, as we say in Arabic, like fashit khilq, like to almost like let it out. And
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
yeah, I guess we were both very grateful for also the time that she put in this, given everything that's happening. And we saw even in the episode
Yeah.
itself, there was an airstrike not too far from where she was. But yeah, it's just these things. It's the fact that she's only
Mm-hmm.
been eating lentils and pasta for a long time now. And she has to, when her kids are watching YouTube videos, they have to pay attention to whether there's like certain foods that appear that are not available in Gaza, obviously, that her kids will then ask, like, why don't we have that? Stuff like that. These are the things that really, really for me stuck out and that made it really, really meaningful at the
Mm-hmm.
end, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. It had me really reflecting about like comrades and friends in Gaza. And when I asked that question of how are you, um, like what does that actually mean? Like
Yeah.
and a lot of what she said is repeated over and over again, right? It's like
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
unbearable. It's getting worse by the day. It's the people need support. And there is no way to fully capture what's happening there. And the reality is that is part of the war, right? That was one of the things that
Yeah.
came up in the
Yeah.
conversation is the wars within wars, and one of that
Exactly.
wars is trying to convince people that it is beyond anything that you could actually imagine or think.
Yeah. The metaphor she used of the wars within wars really also stuck with me. That's the kind of and there is no way of explaining perfectly what happened, but like I think the full length, like the entire episode is a pretty good approximation, as good as it gets, because it is by design um not all over the place. It's actually pretty coherent, and the way she
Mm-hmm.
explained things is pretty good, but it's just she has so much that she needs to share and so much to tell us basically that like there's always, and you even get the sense like as deep as the story goes, there's always another layer that she just doesn't
Yep.
have time to get into.
Yep.
And she does a pretty good job as a storyteller to tell us like just
Yep.
how as someone who is not in Gaza, and same for you, it's like for me I felt like this is like as close of an approximation as humanly possible without actually being there.
Yep. Yep. And it also became very apparent for me it like the failures of journalism and how much it actually strips down because we
Yep.
want to focus on the facts, we want to blah blah blah, but it's stripping the humanity of what's actually happening, and so it's diluting the experience. It's generalized statements and facts and like numbers, and it's too big for most of us to hold or actually understand or comprehend what that actually means. And so listening to her talk really brought the people back into the picture, right? Of like this is what it means to actually be going through genocide. This is the experience of genocide. uh yeah.
The way we're going to do this is if you're listening to this on Patreon, the link will be available for free. and you'll have the entire episode all at once. If you're listening to this on the public feed, you'll first get it as part one, and then you get it as part two. So if you're listening to this on the public feed, know that you can already go to Patreon, which is patreon.com/fromtheperiphery, and you get the full episode for free, already available today. Otherwise, you'll have to wait a few days and it will be released on the public feed as a part two as well, the part two of it. We decided to do so because it's was long and it's also hard to digest. So we want to make sure that people do that and to also do it justice because Maram did put a lot of her time in doing this for us, with us. And yeah, I guess all that's left to do, as usual, if you want to support this project, the Friday's Times, which is part of From the Periphery Media Collective, the best way to do so is to go on that Patreon link that I just mentioned, which is patreon.com/fromtheperiphery. And for as little as $5 a month, you can support this podcast and all of the other podcasts that we do, including the Mutual Aid podcast, which is Scott does with Ayman, the From the Periphery podcast, which we do all together, a bunch of different podcasts, including the new one, which we just launched a couple of weeks ago with Leila Shami on Syria, called Syria, the Inconvenient Revolution, which we're also excited to have done so. So there's a lot more coming, and of course, we would need everyone's support as much as you can spare. There's, of course, the kitchen in Gaza that you're involved in. Do you want to tell us a bit about?
Yeah. So this is a community kitchen that I've been working with for over a year and a half now. And we've operated basically everywhere, the north, the central, the south. Beyond the community kitchen, there's free water distribution. Yesterday, we did both a kitchen and water distribution and baby formula distribution. And we're just individuals coming together doing what we can. And so we're solely funded by people's solidarity and people's support. And so we'll put the link in the show notes, but it's gazamutualaid.org/aid. Spread the word out, give what you can. This is literally a lifeline. And you'll hear in the episode, Maram talking about her privilege in being able to access and how many other people don't have access. And this is who we're trying to reach with the community kitchens, is the ones who have no access.
Yeah. And here's the episode, everyone. Thank you for listening.
So this is Maram Humaid. I'm a journalist from Gaza. I work with Al Jazeera English Digital. I'm their correspondent on the ground in Gaza since 6 years. And here, this is my second year covering the war in Gaza.
Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us. We were trying to record this about a month ago, but of course the situation forced us to delay everything. We're grateful that you managed in the end. The first question is a bit of I even feel ridiculous asking it, but just like, how are you? Like, how are you coping? What can you tell us? Whatever you want to share, really.
يعني how are you in Gaza? يعني I hate this question actually. I'm so sorry.
It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah.
Like every time someone asking me how are you feeling? How are you? It's like I can't find the appropriate words to describe the situation going on. And every time I receive messages from my friends and my colleagues checking on me, when I go back to the messages throughout, asking me, how are you? How are you? And it would be one answer. The situation is getting worse and it's unbearable, unbearable, unbearable. And here I'm living, I call it the worst stage and the worst phase of the war in Gaza. And yet I was answering the same, unbearable, unbearable. I was giving these answers before. So it's so insane, it's so sad that the situation in Gaza only gets worse. And it gets unbearable for every one of us. And for myself, I find every day coming is not a new chance, it's a new challenge. It's a new circle of inventing solution for everything. Starting from the food, for my kids, and then charging my batteries and charging my mobile, and then finding, a work, a space to work on some pieces with the desk, and then go back to wash the laundry on my hands for the kids, and then just to plan out what we would prepare for lunch for the kids, and just hearing the constant bombing and shelling around us, which is like this is a forgettable layer of our constant struggle, that it's not only about bombardment, it's not only about bombing, it's not only about the continuing of this genocide. No, there is layers of the hidden suffering that made the life under this genocide, it's impossible for everyone. And this is the answer for how are you?
Yeah,
يعني
I wasn't. It's not a good question. I completely understand why you would hate it at this point. Even like we wanted to record about a month ago, and just how much has changed in the past month. Like, what can you tell us to listeners who, I think more on average, I think our listeners are relatively well informed, but I would imagine that not everyone would know just how worse things are getting as well.
um the today it's the day 82 of the continuation of the borders shut down,
Yeah.
that were shut down around 3 months ago. And during those months, the 3 months, the first question and the first concern for everyone in Gaza, it was about food, the food crisis, and everyone as who like ran away of their of the like every one of us is out of stock. We are just consuming of what remaining, and it's so funny, it's so sad that the first question that occupies any chat here and any phone call, like, how are you, what are you doing with the flour, what are
Yeah.
you doing with food? Did you try making bread with the pasta and with the lentils? And I'm sharing experiences, and they share their experiences. They let you add a cup of flour, let you add a cup of lentils. Just mix the pasta with the flour. This wouldn't consume the amount of flour that you have. This would help you out to save more flour for the upcoming days. And they would share that how they prepared kebab out of lentils, and they sent me the recipe to make the kebab out of lentils. And like every day, this is the everyday chats. I feel that every like we are immersed in an endless suffering, and it became just our daily life, even our chats, and even our when we gather, when we do the family gatherings, we sit around each other talking about who was died, who was killed, who survived, and what happened when we were displaced, and that moment when we ran away because of the nearby bombing, and then now our plans, because we have the last remaining bag of flour. This is the concern during those months. This is the concern, the bag of flour, how can we get an extra bag of flour. And just I was calling my sister just a few minutes before this call, and she was telling me that their home is the only home that inside the building that they are live in, who still have flour like this. She celebrated this, this in jazz, this news to me, like we are the ones now who are still having the flour, and they are just exhausted and concerned to find other ways of how to prepare food. But maybe the past 3 weeks, like as you can see, and in the news, Israel escalated and heavily escalated their operations in Gaza, the military operations. So while you are just concerned for food, you feel the non-stop airstrikes around you, the non-stop bombing and chilling, and the news of the threats that Israel will escalate their operations in Gaza. And imagine that people are hungry, people are just concerned for food. They have no energy left to stand, even to stand and to practice their lives easily. And they are also just facing this unbelievable way of dealing with displacement, dealing with atrocities and with the brutality with the Israeli genocide around them. The start of this week was miserable for me because the building and just before us, because I'm living on the ground floor, the building in front of me, it's a six-story building, and they told me that they could see the tanks out of their building. I'm living in Deir al-Balah, and Israel deployed more of their forces on the eastern borders of Deir al-Balah. So people, I'm living somehow near the eastern borders, and people in the building told me that they could see the tanks. And like someone who started the day just hearing this news, it was very frustrating, very devastating. And what should I do? How can I plan out? What is the plan? And we went to the like to the to the top of our house, just looking to the borders and planning out, me and my husband, and talking that if the tank would come from here, they would come from that way. So if they come from that street, we could take from that. Like we were planning, and I was thinking, like, what we are talking about? Like we are mere civilians, we are mere people, ordinary people who used to just to live freely, not to plan for military and to plan how we could evacuate and how we could jump out of this place to another place in order to escape the shelling. And this happened while the artillery shelling was just hitting with horrible voice, with horrible sounds around us. And this been the situation for the last 2 weeks, and precisely the last 10 days. And you could see now the how people been kicked out of the north of Gaza, of Beit Lahi and Jabalia, and also from Khan Yunis, from the eastern of Deir al-Balah, and Rafah as well, as like was occupied long time ago. So people are being pushed into unknown area. Like we don't know. We are living in the central area, but still we are still don't know if this is the meant area. No, like people are being bombed in the central area, and the Mawasi, and the Khan Yunis, and the south of Gaza, and the north of Gaza. Every single area in Gaza is being bombed, is being targeted, and there is no sense of there is no safe place. And we're just waiting, I'm just waiting for the unknown. Like I don't know. I'm just putting my luggage and my things, and I'm sure like when the 0 hour came, I might be like I'm unable. Just I would take my children and run away. I will leave everything behind me. And this has been the case for many people who were displaced under the fire. Like and at a random hour, at a random moment, you just you would hear the crazy bombing around you. And the only idea that you would think about is just how to survive this and how to run away complete, with your children, with your family unharmed. This is, the biggest dream at that moment.
Yeah. I think I'm listening to you talk, and we see all these headlines, and you know you, these numbers of X amount martyred, or X amount displaced, or this many people are starving. And what you're bringing in right now is the daily lived experience of these numbers, and the actual struggle of what it means to survive a genocide, a mass starvation.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I'm the one of the few luckiest one in Gaza who are living in a home who still have internet access, who have electricity, maybe somehow through the solar panels. But the vast majority of people like didn't enjoy at least like one of, these, privileges I get, after I paid a huge amount of money actually in order to secure. Um, Still I'm suffering. I'm hugely suffering. I'm suffering because it's not a normal life. So let alone what the people on the ground who are living in tents, who are living in the streets, who are living in just total displacement. And I'm here, I'm living in my home. I'm not like, so this is not my home. I rented this home just 5 months ago, and my home was destroyed back in the north of Gaza, and I was displaced in Deir al-Balah. And it's my second year of being displaced, and after my home was bombed back in Gaza, and also my family's home, my in-laws' home. And there was no place to, when people returned to the north, I wasn't able to return because there was no place. So I stayed in the place I've rented, which is now in Deir al-Balah. After this, long circle of trying to find solution for every step, like every step here is a struggle. You are ended up just suffering, hungry, facing hunger, facing starvation, facing famine, and facing the killing, the huge appetite for killing. Like they need just to kill, to kill, to kill as much as they can. Like yesterday, I did as like I call it like a suicide attempt because I went to the market. Like it just going out, stepping out of your home is a huge risk these days. So but I was forced to yesterday because I needed to buy something from the market, and I went there. Just when the moment I was arrived, there was a bombing in the market, just in the second square, and I would see the people. Some people were just trying to buy some of the groceries and some of their needs, and there are people who were in chaos and they were shouting, open the way, open the road. And I found myself just picking a thing and just trying just to get home as much as quick as I can. And with my husband told me like, you see, you went to the market, and I told you that it's very dangerous to go out. Just where are you now? Like I'm alive. Like just I'm alive. And
Alhamdulillah.
it was so يعني unbearable, unbelievable. Like those words are just, aren't enough for me to describe the situation. Unbearable, yeah, like every time, like when you try to practice and to grab a glimpse of your life, that life of just getting a dress and go to the market to buy something you need. It's a risk. This equals a risk, a huge risk that you
Yeah.
may lose your life at. But still, it was so common, and in the way going to the market, that you see people who are just standing by the road, holding white shrouds of their beloved one killed, and just asking the drivers to pick them to the cemetery in order to bury their ones. And you could end up you are like ended up in a car, just maybe like in a seat next to the driver, and in the back seat there are people, three people holding shrouds, and it's like a normal life. People are just picking cars in order to go to the cemetery. Like it's an ordinary life. It's an ordinary scene of life. You are going to shop, and those people are also going to the cemetery. Like it's a usual way that they are doing. And it's error. Like there is an error here, like implanted in our minds, that how life in Gaza had like developed and had reached to this point, like how we reached to this point. It's the silence. It's the because we were left to face this death with this open spirit, and we are just abandoned, and we are live in misery, trapped in this situation with no with no end. It's an endless suffering, and everyone adapted with it. That's it. It's not, we are not adapted, but this is the life. This is how we Like you survive this life like at like how you can just plan it out with yourself, you know.
Yeah.
Just hearing you talk, I listened to some of the, or I watched some of the interviews you've done for Al Jazeera and stuff like that, and I'm thinking a lot of the people, some of the people you've interviewed, who would say things like, بدي أموت بداري, like I will die in my house. I want to be there and all of that. Already thinking along those lines, of course. And this was the video I'm thinking of was like a few months ago, even during the brief ceasefire. How has been, you already answered parts of it, so feel free to answer however you want here, but like how are people thinking about just the recent developments? Like, is this more of we've already been abandoned, and so this is more of the same, just worse and worse? Or is there a sense that like now things are different, like even if that's even possible?
Um, there is always those people who are stick to the idea of just staying in their country, and we won't leave no matter
Hmm.
what happens. Especially those people who are in their 50s and their 60s, and those, we call them elderly people. They stick to their lands, and there are also some of the youths. But in general, when you talk to the people in their 20s and in their 30s, maybe, you would hear frankly that they want to leave. They want to go out. This shouldn't be their the spring of their life shouldn't be spent in this, suffering. And they could see, they would share that they will leave no matter what is the method or the mean was, like it's Israeli one, it's being kicked out by Trump. It's if they open the borders officially for the people, they want to leave. And I can't hide that I am one of those who are thinking of this now. And like I can't continue my life like this, with especially because I have kids like who are under like my daughter is 9 years old, and my kid is would turn out 2 years and next July. So he spent the first 2 years in his childhood living this situation. So for the sake of their future, I would like research for another place. If this is a luxury, like the huge problem for the people of Gaza, that the self-determination is taken out of them. Like we don't have this pleasure to this luxury of deciding what we want to do. Like
Yeah.
we are trapped, and the crossings are shut down in front of people, and they are being bombed, they are being starved, they are being humiliated by all means, and we are trapped like in all the crisis that swept the whole world, Sudan, Syria, Lebanon, Ukraine. There were the borders were open in front of people to flee. I, and this should be the least demand for any human beings, that okay, you will fight against Hamas, you want to erase Hamas, you want to eliminate the Hamas bases in Gaza. So خلاص, open the borders for the people to leave. That's it. Even this is not available for the people, and we are being killed. And everyone could revise and see the numbers of civilians, the number of kids, the number of women and innocent who were killed during this genocide. I spent the whole 18 months of this genocide reporting from a hospital. Every day I was standing in front of the emergency department, and I was seeing the bodies of people who were killed and evacuated from the bombed places. Mostly are women, mostly are kids shrouded in white, and kids shredded into pieces. So where, like, and every attack to a home without any being notified or being alarmed that it would be bombed, 30 people to 25 people, 30 people to 25 people. And you have people also who were displaced to the south. So the number is, you have the crowded, crowded homes, crowded with people who were displaced to their relatives, to their friends' homes, and they were living together. And when the bombing, when it was bombed, so the number would be, doubled and tripled with the people living in these homes. So yeah, you cannot imagine the situation of punishing the people of Gaza this way. So I'm totally convinced it's a genocide. It's meant to erase those people from the ground with a green light from all countries, from all people. I don't know, Arab, Islamic, European countries, US, everyone gave the green light to erase the people of Gaza. Like it shouldn't be like, you see. Um, I think this one is near.
There was a for those listening because they may not get it on Zoom. You're saying that there was an airstrike nearby.
Yeah. It's a near strike. It's an airstrike nearby, and I think it's in the central area because the sound. I don't know. Like maybe you didn't get the sound, but it shaked the home already.
I saw
Yeah.
the home shaking. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, this been the case, and throughout the past days. I'm still today. This is a calm day, by the way, because the past 3 days, like non-stop, literally non-stop, every 2 minutes, every 3 minutes, and it was really like uh, tense, bombing everywhere. عن شو كنا نحكي؟
No, I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
I was sorry. Sorry, you were saying something.
No, go ahead.
No. I listened to the episode that your daughter did with This American
Yeah,
Life last year.
yeah,
Of course, I
yeah,
will link this. I'll put
yeah,
this in the show notes, of course.
yeah.
Yeah. The question was actually like,
Yeah, I will give you
yeah,
some of maybe Benias and Iyas life, my children.
please, yeah.
I told that I wanted to rent. I rented a home, and I spent all my savings in order to secure some solar panels and to buy a screen for them, and in order to just to create a small escape for them to watch TV and to have access to internet. And like I did many attempts in order to have the internet access back to, like, I got it after 3 months of struggles with the telecommunications company. And now they are set like on in front of the TV watching YouTube channels and it and watching videos. And there was a surprising point that I didn't think about, which is the only meals that I can give to my family or to my kids now is pasta with tomato sauce and lentils. This is the only thing. And people out like outside, or they don't even like they are not even able to provide this for their families. So I was cooking a day I was cooking I prepared pasta with tomato sauce, and I was serving this to my Iyas and Banias who were watching a video, and it was calling, "Are you hungry?" Yes, I am. And there was watermelon, strawberry, and there was and screen like all the candies and the sweets. And I was, oh my gosh, like it was like the world is moving in a in like it moves in a side, and where we are living in another side. Like this is the normal thing that people out there all over the world, people worldwide are kids are watching these videos as this is the normal way of how people or how kids like are interested in watching these things. This is the common thing and the common maybe curriculum for the kids to be like to watch. And
Mhm.
for the people of Gaza or for the kids of Gaza, this is another a total another experience. Like they are watching the dolls like Banias was telling me that, Mama, you see, like even the dolls are eating strawberries and are eating bananas and they are eating apples. So no matter, no, the point here that no matter I tried hard to escape from the atmosphere of war and to create an atmosphere for my kids, if like in every step or every scene will chase me to remind me that you are not
Mm.
living like a normal situation. And like it was for my kids who are eating tomato like pasta with tomato sauce for maybe the 30 I wouldn't like I there is no count, like 40 times or and like 50 times during the past three months. And no eggs, no good nutrition for them, not like no chocolate, no candies, no nothing for the the like of these things that children love. And when it comes to watching TV, they could see these things in videos. And me as a mother, I could stand in front of them numb and couldn't do like anything.
Mm.
uh, and I was thinking about like one time also I was reading a book or reading a story for my kids. And it was there was a scene of the character of the story. He went like he left their home and he went to like to a place and they erected a tent in order just to have a warm or a calm moment away from the chaos of the city. And he was talking about it, how it's lovely to live in a tent and just to be away to do some camping. And oh my God, people in Gaza are doing camping throughout the whole 2 years. And like, how could I convince my son or just to implant this idea of living in a tent? Like living in a tent is interesting. No, it's not interesting. For me in Gaza, it's not interesting. Camping is just forbidden. This idea is totally, the opposite. So every time I'm feeling that I'm turning into like I'm not a normal person anymore. خلاص, I like I'm not a normal person. I'm not thinking like the default system of this world. I'm out of the default system of this world. That's it for the one who's like for someone who's living in Gaza. I'm excluded from the whole system running this universe. There is another total like normality and reality in Gaza. Total,
Mm.
like how people are establishing things, the rules that running the whole universe around us is totally different. Because what I'm watching, what I'm reading, that there is something that uh, should be linked the whole people around the world, the worldwide people are with each like together, which is how the food they are eating, how the things that children are interested in. And these tiny ideas of like reading books and this stuff. But when it comes to the details, I feel that I'm a different one. I'm someone who's excluded from these pleasures of life and these privileges out there. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. Um, in in the article that you wrote for Al Jazeera, the dedication to your mother, Allah yarhamha wa barik fiha,
Yeah.
you said, "Mama, we the tormented in this land are in a free-for-all festival of death."
Mm.
And that line keeps ringing through as I'm listening to you talk. There's the fighting for normalcy, for life, to cultivate some kind of life, but death permeating everything. And like you're saying, no matter where you go, no matter where you turn, it's there, it's facing you. It's something that no matter every single action you're taking throughout the day, this is something that you're countering.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, when my mother died, it was just another layer of just a feeling um that you are more oppressed, you are more alone. And you know, the way she lived through the war, and then she left, and then she left to Egypt for the treatment, and then when she died back in Egypt, and you know, um, and the story that was hidden, like that was hiding between these details, and how we were chasing time in order to like just to call her. Like there wasn't even internet at this, you know, at the time, in order to call her at like even with it wasn't with the telecommunications company. It was a normal act of punishment that Israel would cut the whole telecommunications, the whole internet, the whole, like we are just out of you know, coverage, and people were connected from ESAM, and I was just trying to walk miles and long distances in order to reach a place that would like that I would be able to connect from the ESAM, and just send like my sister with my mother just a message that we are okay, we are doing well, because I was thinking of her, like her health wasn't good. And when she like her psychology, like her um that she would be very worried now about us, and we are disconnected, and for her in Egypt, she would think that we may be now bombed, or we we may be killed, or something happening. So I would take this long distance and this long journey in order just to send her this text message. um and then when like since my mother died, they closed the borders. It was the last day when they invaded Rafah, and invaded the Rafah crossing, that the only crossing for the people of Gaza to you know to travel, and the use to travel outside Gaza. It was open, the crossing of Rafah was open for the first 7 months of the war, and then it was closed totally. It was open in front of the individual movement, but it like the thing that everyone should know, that it wasn't open for free. Everyone who should leave Gaza has to pay $5,000 in order to pay to leave. Like it wasn't you know, a reasonable amount, or like you have to pay a huge amount of money in order to leave. So this is maybe like my brother paid this amount of money for his for like he paid it 12 $1,000 in order to leave. And when he once he arrived to Egypt, he told me that this we paid the price of our lives. Like my life cost $5,000. So I paid for my life, and for the life of my wife, and then the life of my kid, and we you know, this is the way how we evacuated Gaza and left. And yeah, after like since then, the life become darker for me, and like it was somehow you live depressed, and um just immersed in more crisis. um and but somehow I wasn't feeling alone. Like I was seeing, sometimes I would assure myself that Maram, yani, you're standing every day in front of shrouds, in front of people crying for the beloved ones, and this is the festival I meant, you know, the free death festival, because it was really a festival. Yeah, like every time I was entering the hospital, I do remember the first day I entered the hospital, and I saw around 40 bodies shrouded and white in front of me. I was shocked, and my body was trembling with fear, and it's the huge loss, and the huge you know, what we call it haiba, the huge fear of death, the huge size of death that at the time that occupied my body. And then after that, after like a day by day, it became a total ordinary scene for me. I like sometimes I wouldn't like be shy to say that I started to drink coffee while seeing people are praying al-janaza, praying funeral and shouting and crying and seeing the chaos of the ambulances evacuating, more people killed. It became a total ordinary, scene. I would sit and on my laptop working on a piece and just seeing, oh, okay, there was an airstrike in Deir al-Balah. Oh my God, oh, it seems that 5 people killed. Okay, and I will continue my life, and this has been the case. So when my mother was died, it was so, for example, like no one could replace the mother's place, and it's a huge loss. But somehow, uh, they say الموت مع الجماعة رحمة, but I feel that everyone like lost, like I was lucky because my mother was died, but for many of my friends and my colleagues, they lost the whole families. I know many of them, they stand alone, like no sisters, no brothers, no relatives, and they are alone, like they lost the whole members of their family at one bomb, at one strike on their homes, and now they are standalone. And I would just remember those tiny kids and those little kids whom I worked on their stories, and I felt that I am shy just even to mention that I am sad for my mother's death, because those children are just uh, few months old, and some of them just 2 years, 3 years, above five, and like under like below under under 5 years, and they lost both mother and dad, both of their parents during the war, and they are now like adding to that. I met many of those kids who not they were not just they didn't only um lose their families, their parents, they also lost parts of their bodies. They were their legs were amputated, both of their legs were amputated, and some of them they have a triple amputation. So living in the hospital and spending time in the hospital, I feel that this is the biggest thing that helped me out to feel a little bit comfort after my mother was died. I imagine if she died before the war, or she died in a normal situation, I would like just felt crazy. But during the war, there was a huge grief, there was a huge suffering, but somehow it was comforted by the huge amount of and atrocities, and the free meaning of death happening and going around and around us at the time.
Something that I hear a lot, right, is like there's no time to grieve.
Fine.
Yeah,
Time at
it's
all. It's a luxury here. Just to sit and cry and to think, there is no time for grief. Because I would add to this point of when my mother was died, we cried, and it was a total moment of feeling devastated. And then the moment of when they declared that they would invade Rafah, and people were coming to evacuate from Rafah to Deir al-Balah.
mm.
And my aunt, she was crying, and she was offering like she was very sad on my mother's loss, and she was saying she's in Rafah, and she's saying like I just forgive me, I can't come today because we are packing our stuff, and will be just searching for a place in Deir al-Balah, and I offered her a space, like my mother just died 3 hours ago, and I was just offering my auntie space, that we have an extra space in our home, you can come to stay with us. So, and she said like we are just 15 members, we can't come we are already 40 people living in the same place, so we cannot come. And we were just chatting about what should we do. And she was telling me about how it's difficult to secure a car or a vehicle to move her belongings from Rafah to Deir al-Balah. And it was totally chaotic in the streets that day. People were evacuating, and every time, like when you go to the street, you would see people packing their stuff and their belongings on the carts, on the dragged by animals, and tuk-tuk, and trucks holding people with their stuff and belongings, and people erecting new tents in the place. It was totally chaotic. So there was no time to grieve. I thought like we were directly occupied by the scenes, and by the situation around us. And many of our family members were just offering their condolences over the phone, and saying that we are evacuating today from Rafah, and just we could, see you after we come and just organize our stuff in Deir al-Balah, and then we could come and see you guys. And we could see, no, we don't like blame anyone of you, just Allah yarhamha, and it's totally fine, and just Allah ya'in al-nas. And this being the case, like how people are just sharing each other. We like, no, everyone is totally busy with himself, with total, like with his own concerns, with his endless suffering that kept unfolding throughout the genocide. People were experiencing displacement and evacuation more than 15 times, 30 times, 40 times. Like, you have endless stories of those people. So yeah, no time to grieve. People were burying their beloved ones in the hospital, and in this cemetery. And after that, mother would just, calm herself down, because their home was bombed, and now there is another task of just pulling out their belongings from under the rubble, and go to search for another place, or for a place to stay in, and just to go, if there are some injured people in the family, they would take care of those injured people. And then if some of them need medical treatment outside Gaza, so they would run in order to secure some medical evacuations for those injured. So no time to grieve, no time to, like, it's a suffering that you cannot even feel balanced to absorb what is going on. No time for anything. So I sometimes, if you thought about it, you would feel that those who died, those who were just killed, who are enjoying in comfort and rest. But those who stayed alive are just, suffering, and they are trapped in this endless misery around us.
Yeah.
قلت لك اكتئاب يا بنتي خلص. يا ربي.
حبيبتي.
This is the end of part 1. Part 2 will be released on the public feeds in a few days. If you want to listen to the full episode, it is already available on patreon.com/fromtheperiphery for free. Please consider supporting us if you can. Otherwise, you'll find the link to the full episode already available on the Patreon link. Thank you, everyone.